Welcome back, guys. So, just going to start with a really important point. We're still continuing on the SAT2 subject test video kind of series. So, don't wait for your last year of high school to do all these subject tests. For me personally, I found out this information in my last year, so I had to really crunch up a lot of things. And it was honestly very hard. So, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Give yourself some time to do these. Like maybe if you're finished grade 12 biology and grade 11 and you've done the course, or even if you've done grade 11 biology only, start on the Princeton review and start maybe, considering doing the SAT subject test for biology in grade 11 instead of doing them all in grade 12. It's just going to save you more time just in case you don't do as good, and then you can do them again like a month later or 2 months later. Like they happen very often. Yes, there are costs to them, so I do suggest studying for them because you don't want to just waste money everywhere. So I do recommend studying hard for them. Don't just go in there like without any preparation. You're gonna have to prepare hardcore. And even if you know someone that's doing the same thing, have a study group with them. Practice with them. And also it's a lot about speed and accuracy. So when you get the practice test in those prep books, you're gonna want to time yourself for an hour and try doing them and then score yourself. And you're just gonna have to keep doing that, and you're gonna find multiple books and do the test in all of them, because that's what I did. Just keep doing the test. It's all about practice, because not only do you want to know the concept, but you also want to build up speed, right? So you're gonna have to really look at your pace and your knowledge both at the same time, okay? So we're going to talk about marking because that's the purpose of this video. So it's a scale from 200 to 800. Percentage and score vary for each test. So like a 640, maybe 70% in chem, but 50% math. Like it's not actually like that, but like I'm just giving an example, okay? So basically the SAT2 subject test, the purpose of them is to see how you did in comparison to others. So here's like when you get your score, you're gonna get a screen almost like this in the bottom, like the picture you see in the bottom right here. So it's gonna tell you your score, and it's gonna be like 200 to 800. So your score is a 620. Your score range is from a 590 to 650, and then it'll tell you like a percentile. You are in the 23rd percentile. So basically, you scored higher than or equal to 23% of the students. So it's gonna tell you how much you did in comparison to others. There is a raw score, but nobody really focuses on that, to be honest with you. It's really how you did in comparison to others, and it'll give you a score range. So I have a chart here that I just want to show. Here it is. SAT subject test percentile range. Okay, this is for 2017 to 2019 graduating classes. It's the latest one I could find. So I give you all the subject tests. So let's look at math level 1. Okay, what they're going to tell you, see, a student with a literature of 600, for example, can see that 40% of test takers scored lower. So the percentile range shows students what percentage of test takers from the past 3 graduating classes earned a lower score than they did. So basically, if you look here, math level 1, you're going to see, well, 99%. A score of 800 is a perfect score. It doesn't mean you got 100%. It just means you did better than others. You did better than like 99% of the people. So 99% of the people scored lower than you. If you see a mark of, let's say, 620 for both of these tests, for math level 2, 21% scored lower. For math level 1, 47% scored lower. So you just gotta understand how this whole thing works. And you can see the score ranges. I mean, it changes from year to year, because it changes from like exam to exam actually, because it's always a comparison of how you did in comparison to how you did, like, let me rephrase this. The SAT2 subject tests are basically a competitive exam where they see how you did in comparison to others. So it will vary from test to test, from the different times when the test happens. Like it's not always the same. They use a specific formula for this. I don't really know how the formula works, so So yeah, I'm not the right person to talk to you about that, but just to give you an idea of the scoring, it's about how you did in comparison to others. And then here I found this nice little chart online to give you a raw score. So let's see the math one. So if you get, let's say, a 50 out of 50, that's an automatic 800, okay? If you get a 45 in math 1, that's a 760, but in math 2, that's still an 800. Now, this is what I meant when I said it's easier to get a higher score in math level 2. Even if you leave 5 questions, you're still going to get an 800. That's 5 freaking questions, but you're still going to get an 800. While it's in the math 1, you're actually going to come down to 760. If we see right here a 620, um, in math 2, if you got 30 of the questions right, you'd get a 650, but in math 1, you'd get a 620, right? So it's really about understanding. That's why I did the math 2, because I found it easier to get a higher score in it, even though the exam was harder, but I was like, okay, maybe I'll try this. It'll be easier to get a higher score in it. So, but it doesn't matter. You take math 1 or math 2. Pakistan doesn't really care. So, let's look at biology E and biology A. Same story, but less of a difference, I guess. So in biology E, if you get 75 of the questions right, you're gonna get a score of 780. But if you get 75 of the questions right in biology M, you're gonna get a 790. So it's a 10, kind of like a 10 score difference, right? So biology M is harder, so it's higher. It's easier to get a higher mark on it. Like, you get what I mean, right? So you have a leeway. You can basically get a lot of questions wrong. And I would just recommend the questions that you don't know on the test, just leave them blank. It's 0. At least you won't have negative points. You got to answer the questions that you know for sure, my answer is right to this question. Don't answer questions that you're like, okay, I don't know, I'm just going to guess. There's no guessing in this, because guessing has a penalty in subject tests. So really concentrate on the guessing. Don't guess. It's just not your best option. Unless you know that, hey, 3 of these options I know for sure are wrong, you're left with 2 options, then maybe you should guess, okay? It's better to do that. But, at the end of the day, guessing is not the way to go in these exams. So it's just going to be bad for you to go with the guessing. Now, the SAT 2 subject tests, they're also in different languages. There's around 20. And what we're going to do is talk. It's a great article if you want to look at it. So I really wanted to cover what was it again? Wait, just 1 second. Okay. When you go under this SAT subject test, you're going to I'm just gonna look. Okay, so your student guide is right down here. There's a fee waiver. This only applies to like students in America, not international ones, where you can basically do the test for free. So get to know the SAT subject test and practice. So there's practice questions online. That's one thing I wanted to let you know. And then under each exam, you can go, let's say math level 2. And they're going to tell you the anticipated skills, recommended preparation, how much high school should you have, how many courses should you have done for this. And then it tell you this chart breakdown that you had in the student guide, practice resources, there's online practice, there is a student guide, it has some questions in it. But the biggest thing I wanted to talk about was the College Board official book. So it might have been right here. Continue shopping. So College Board has an online store where you can actually get the SAT books. Let me just go back. So here it is. So this is the one for math level 2. It's only 20 bucks. You can buy these for yourself and you can see them. You could also look in your local library and see if they have them. My local library didn't have the official one for math, so I had to buy it. So it'll basically have 4 subject tests, past ones, and it'll give you a detailed idea of the scoring and what to prepare before the test day, what to bring. It's a great thing to have because it'll give you the official test. Now the other
books you can get are Princeton Review. So I would just write Princeton Review, SAT, subject test. And there's a bunch of them. There's one for physics, there's all of these, and I love Princeton Review because it's super detailed. They're super thick books, but they've got a lot of details, and it's better than Barron's. A lot of people will recommend Barron's because it's number one. And the thing with Barron's is it's just a little harder to understand, like SAT subject test, physics books. Okay, they have the physics books. Like the only thing with it is it's more detailed. It basically over prepares you, and I don't really find the point in over preparing yourself for the test because I don't know if that will really help you. The questions in the Barons are harder. They cover more in depth, but it's just a little harder to understand because like it's gonna over prepare you, and I don't really see the point of doing that. Um, I think just be prepared for the normal average test. I think that's good enough. The other thing is they're not very conversational. They're very like fact based, and so sometimes it's a little hard to understand what they're trying to say in these books. This is my personal experience with them. Like you can definitely check all the books out. But I did do the practice test in the Barons, and I found those that to be helpful. So I got all the books. Um, but the thing was, I only did the practice test in the Barons because they were harder and it was just good exercise for me. And I only did it like one or two, and then in the Princeton I kind of did all of them, and in Kaplan I did all of them, and McGraw-Hill I did all of them, um, because in those books it was a little easier, I guess. It was a little more closer to the actual test. Barron's is a little harder than the actual SAT subject test. So and the other thing I would tell you is you can also find some of these online. So if you're not able to get them from your local library, try finding them online. There's some there. Um, and other than that, I just want to let you know that the official College Board book, this one is only going to have subject tests in them, like practice tests. While it's like Barron's and these types of books, they're actually going to cover all of the topics. So they're going to have like details on what topics are covered on the SAT subject test for a particular subject. For chemistry, they're going to tell you all the topics that are covered in chemistry, and they're going to teach you those topics in those books. That's why it's important to find a good book for yourself that you can understand. Um, because they're a really great resource. These prep books are amazing, okay? They'll cover all of those. You can take notes, you can highlight, do whatever you like. It basically teaches you all the topics you need to know and what more would you want. So for the chemistry, I used the McGraw-Hill. I found it easier to understand it. And then for math level 2, I used Princeton Review, and then for biology, Princeton Review. Like, I just found the Princeton Review was super detailed, it was conversational, it was easier to understand. And after each, like, topic, they would have, like, a drill. Like, they'd have practice questions. Same with the McGraw-Hill, and I really love that I really love that in all of these prep books because after each topic, they have, like, a drill where you can just do SAT type questions. And I found that to be super helpful. So, that's one more thing about these books. So just go to library, hold all of them, just check whichever one is better for you. It's really a personal preference, I would say. So if you like Barron's, go with Barron's. If you don't like McGraw-Hill, don't go with McGraw-Hill, okay? And there's a lot of online resources too that you can use. I know there's a YouTube channel that kind of teaches you a little bit about these SAT practice tests. They'll cover some topics. So if you have a topic that you have difficulty understanding, just search it up on YouTube. There's a bunch of videos out there. I know for chemistry, I like Organic Chemistry Tutor, Khan Academy, like all of these different channels, they have videos on them. You just have to search up the topic. And some have like special SAT prep videos. I know I found those ones for biology. Let me see if I might be able to find them again because they were super helpful. I think it was called Olympiad EDU biology SAT prep. Okay, yeah. So SAT 2 biology practice questions. This guy goes through like the practice questions step by step and tells you how to deduce, how to like guess if you come to a situation like that where you don't know the answer, and how do you do them quickly, you know. And it's a really helpful channel. It's called Olympiad Edu. Just write SAT2 biology, and they actually go through some of the topics too. And then this